Welcome back, Michael Veitch, the Woodstock Guitar Guy channel. We're going to jump into a different kind of Gretsch guitar, part of my first out of the gate series on Gretsch guitars, and these are all guitars that I own, and I'm really happy I do own them. They came to me, they found me in their own way. I think sometimes it works that way. You know, the guitars are looking for a home, and I just happen to be perusing through Marketplace or eBay or something, and they find me, and I'm like, do I really want this? Do I want to take this on? Well, this little guitar, it's not exactly little. It's a Dreadnought, and it's a Martin copy called a Dorado, and it's by Gretsch. The story I heard, and I haven't confirmed it, maybe in the comments somebody can confirm it, but I heard that back in the 70s, the factory in Arkansas that Gretsch was using to build acoustic guitars and guitars burned, or it was the warehouse or something burned, and they lost a lot of instruments, and they needed something very quickly for the American market. And these folks from Japan, or they sent somebody to Japan to find something, they brought back this, and it's a Matsumoku, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Japan-made copy of a Martin, and it's also known as the lawsuit era, when they were making a lot of copies of Gibsons and Martins and so forth over in Japan, Matsumoku, and so this is one of them, and I kind of knew this because I've been researching it and looking around, but this one just fell into my lap out of nowhere on Marketplace, and $60, and I jumped, you know. Now, when I got it, it was really rough. The bridge was coming off. They had tried to push some glue under the bridge, and you know, actually you can see that's a little of my glue left over from my glue job, but they kind of left some dents in the top, and you know, and the whole the strings were there goes my pick. The strings were about I don't know, an inch and a half off the neck. The neck did not need to be reset, fortunately, because I wasn't ready to take that on. But I thought I could work with the bridge. I thought I could work with bringing up the whole face of the guitar was kind of caved in a little bit, you know. But I looked at the wood, and there was one string on it, and I played it, and I just said, "That's it. It's got the tone." And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for the tone, you know, and the tone comes from this, the wood. And if you look closely, if I can get a light on it, you can see that this is not mahogany, and I suspected it was rosewood. I took it to my luthier, and this is after COVID, and took it to the luthier, and she said, "Oh, that's Brazilian rosewood, back and sides, and appears to be solid too. It's not ply. Appears to be solid." She said the fretboard was Brazilian rosewood. She said the bridge was Brazilian rosewood. Now, in 1969, Brazil stopped exporting rosewood, and so this must have been from a batch left over that was still in Japan, and they were building guitars out of it. And before I took it to her, I had done some work on it, and I replaced the tuning pegs, which it had those horrible early 70s, late 60s tuning pegs that were just junk, and I got rid of those, put some decent ones on there. And I put in what's called a bridge doctor. Now, she didn't exactly approve of the bridge doctor, I don't know if you can see it. Kind of hard to see, but there's a, and I don't actually have one here I can show you, but it's a block that you drill a hole down through the bridge, goes into the block, which sits under the bridge, and it creates a kind of a fulcrum, and it has a dowel that goes to the block in the back, and it has an Allen adjustment, and you can basically gradually over time you can lift the face of a guitar up and make it relatively flat, which this was not. This was like, looked like a skateboard. And they're about $15. They're really easy to install. Someday we'll do a whole show on it. When I have another acoustic guitar that needs one, we can actually film it, and or just go on YouTube. I'm sure there's about 10 guys out there, or women out there who can show you how to do it. She doesn't approve of them because she's a master luthier, and this is kind of like a fix for guys like me who didn't go to luthier school. But she got inside. She repaired a couple of braces that were loose, and that was good. I had put the bridge back on. It was my second bridge replacement, and my only screw up that I made, and you can learn here from my mistakes, is you'll see there's a kind of a burn mark here. That was, I started out with a heat gun. That was not the thing to do. You gotta melt the glue under the bridge to get them to come off, and I kind of burned. I singed the top of the guitar. That was my mistake. I learned that the best way to do it is a steam iron, and so I got a steam iron in here, and you basically you take the pegs out and then the bridge and everything, the set whatever the bridge, and then you put a little towel over it, and then you heat it up, and then you have this like a palette knife, and you work it under the bridge. It took forever to get this thing off because I think the people who had this before me had tried fixing it with super glue, and that was not the glue to use. Super glue, not the glue to use on these guitars. It's very difficult to work with once it sets up, and I used a hide glue, which is which is the traditional glue that they use making guitars, and older acoustics and stuff, and that heats up when you get it up to 105 degrees. Then you can actually take the bridge right off. Now, I was at a music festival one time in Texas, Kerrville actually, and I had my Guild D50, which I'll show you one of these days. Beautiful guitar. I bought it brand new in 1978 for $600, and it has served me very well. It's gone with me everywhere, and I've done a million shows with it. But it got to 105 degrees in Kerrville, Texas one day. I opened up my guitar case that was in my tent, and the bridge had come off. The glue had literally melted in the heat, the Texas heat. So that was my first run-in with. Of course, I took that guitar back to my luthier at the time, and the luthier fixed it because I didn't know anything about fixing a guitar. I just thought I had ruined it. But the Guild is still here, still a great guitar. What I also had her do, I had to replace the frets. I haven't reached a point in my, growth or development or pathology to actually start replacing frets. I can level them, I can polish them, I can take care of a couple high ones, I can definitely do fret ends. I can do a lot with the frets, but I haven't done the pulling the old ones and putting in the new ones trick. I don't think I ever want to do that myself personally, but the frets that came with it were the old style, narrow, not too big frets, and it wasn't a lot of fun to play. So I had the frets replaced, and that between all of this, the guitar has come to life again, a new life. It has I think, a very magical overtone, undertone, sustain, I don't know if you can hear it on the camera, but goes on and on and on and on. I like that. It's not a canon. It's not a extremely loud guitar, but it's got great mid. It's got a great mid to it, which I really like. Not too bright on the high end. Good for recording. Now I found in recording acoustic guitars that having it too bright on the high end is not a good thing. The engineers don't like that. I'll talk more in another episode when we do another acoustic. I'll talk more about the tuning that I'm using right now. But I'll just say it's the James Taylor tuning. Look it up on YouTube. James gives a very wonderful tutorial on how to tune your acoustic guitar and sound like James Taylor. You can even play like him once you get the tuning. But it makes a lot of sense. I wish I had known this like 45 years ago. I only discovered it just in the last year, and I exclusively tune my guitars to the James tuning. All right, well, back to Gretsch. So apparently Fred Gretsch himself personally checked out these guitars. They brought them to him in his office in Brooklyn, and he liked it. So these were sold under the Gretsch name. And if you, I will say that my luthier said to me, when she saw the Brazilian rosewood, she said, "Hey, you got any more of those?" They're hard to come by. And this particular model, the Dorado, if you see one, if somebody's just found it in their attic or it's been kicking around, they don't know what they got, whatever, tell them it's a good guitar. I told the guy I was buying it from, I said, these are good, and I gave him my $60 and the rest is history. And I've used it to record. I don't use it to perform out. I've got performance guitars for live shows. This doesn't have any electronics in it at all, but it does record nice. I drop a pickup into the sound hole and run that to a preamp, and then use microphones. That's a whole other deal we can talk about too. I just feel like we don't have a lot of time on these episodes, and so I'm going to kind of stretch them out over time. We'll cover everything eventually, but there's a lot to it. The strings I'm using. I'm trying to share with you what I've learned so that you can actually, cut right to the chase, and you don't have to go through trial and error like I did. One other thing, this has to be bone. You got to replace the plastic. This came with a plastic bridge saddle, and so you want bone in there. And I put brass pegs just because I thought it would just liven it up a little bit more, and I think it did. So with that, we'll go out with a couple of, strummers here. Thank you for tuning in. You want to hit, I think it's, which way is it? I think it's this one here. You want to hit subscribe and like and share, which is in the middle. And spread the word, because I'm going to do a bunch of these. I got like a room full of guitars. I'm going to go through each one. We'll try to keep it down 15, 20 minutes, something like that. And Michael Veitch, Woodstock Guitar Guy, it's great to be here. I'm having a wonderful time. And we'll go out with a little rockin' little number I wrote called, I don't know what it's called, but I did write it. So. I think that's about it.